Okay, so today I thought we could go over some core work, and this is specifically going to be a physical therapy influenced core yoga session today. So you really don't need much. I recommend a blanket just for cushioning your knees and a block just to have handy. And of course, these two are handy for meditation and shavasana too. So let's start getting centered. And you might slide your block under your hips or your blanket. Roll your shoulders a couple of times and allow your spine to just settle. So, you know how posture sometimes feels like a lot of effort? I want you to switch it up in your mind and think of posture as stacking, as letting gravity do its thing on you in the easiest way possible. And see if that shifts anything for you. It really shifted a lot for me when I learned it as a teenager. We're also going to practice some accessing of both the front line and the back line slings, muscular myofascial slings of the body in this practice. And so one of the things that I recommend really learning before we get started is a chin tuck. And you're going to place your hands right at the front of your neck, kind of land the hand very lightly there. Drop your chin a little and pull your ears back just a little bit. As you do this, you shouldn't feel any excess muscular contraction at the front of your neck. So chin down, ears back, and it should just be easy, right? So this is a chin tuck, or at least the very beginning of a chin tuck, and the most fundamental component of it. And it's all about getting the roof of the mouth over the diaphragm, the respiratory diaphragm, over the pelvic floor, which is really a true core integration. But I'm getting deep into the weeds. Let's meditate so we can move. Hands drop down wherever it feels comfortable. Roll your shoulders a couple times. Allow your eyelids to get heavy and your breath to be easy in and out through the nose. We don't have to be controlling it or practicing any specific pranayama. Invite breath not just into the front of your body, not just into the belly, but also into the back body, side body. Create a little bit of slack in your jaw. Acknowledge a smoothness across the forehead. And with your next exhale, totally release. Crack open your eyes. Let's shift the block out from underneath and come onto our backs. So we'll practice the same chin tuck here on our back before we get into the core work for today. And it's pretty simple. Again, put your hands on the front of your neck. If you need to, you can put your blanket under your head if you already feel that your chin is lifting far from your chest. Because you want to be able to bring your chin down without these muscles that are superficial in the neck taking over. So you might feel them doing a little bit of work, but they shouldn't really get robust, right? So if you need the blanket under your head, that's totally fine with me. The other thing is you want to be able to drop your chin down without your low ribs popping up. So sometimes I see this pattern in my patients or clients, and you want to keep your ribs down as your chin comes down. Full breath. Lift your head, keeping your chin down, and then lower your head back down. Turn a little to your right and drop your chin to your chest. Lift your head like you're looking past your right foot and lower down. Turn your head a little to the left. Lift your head like you're looking past your left hip to your left foot and lower down. And just take a nice big breath, 360 degrees of breath, all sides of the body. So we're going to start today by bending up one leg, and then you're going to put the same side hand, so if it's your right leg, your right hand, close to the knee. You're going to touch the leg with the heel of your hand, and you're going to try to like push the muscles forward. You know, like a rolling pin. See if you could roll the muscles forward towards your knee. And put your other hand on your belly. And what you should feel is very gently a contraction happening across your abdomen. So if you don't feel that, then you probably feel something. You probably are feeling it right in the hip. So relax for a moment, flatten your back, lift the leg again, and see if you can almost move from here, from your belly, from the space between your ribs and your pelvis. Again, adjust, maybe even adjust the angle. Flex your foot so your toes come up towards your eyes and press the leg away. So it's just strong action, slowly building it up so I can feel the tension across the abdomen. Toes are really strongly curling up, fingers are not touching the leg, and then relax, shake it out, and we're going to the other side. So toes up. Knee, by the way, can be out just a little bit, so your foot can be in a little closer to the midline than your knee is. And now on your second side, rolling pin the muscles away to the knee. Start to build some tension across the abdomen. If you're feeling it in your hip, change the angle a little bit, adjust until you feel it in your core, and then relax. Keep up that action if you felt plenty of shaking. And if you didn't feel challenged by that, then you're going to bring both legs up. Both hands to the legs and start to press. So this is a pushing action that activates the front myofascial slings of the body, or just the front muscles of the body, what we think of as our abdomen. And you can stay here or lift your head for the last 10 seconds. Any shaking is good. Slowly lower down and relax and swoop your knees a little side to side. So same thing, if you're doing the one leg version, now you're going to take opposite hand to leg instead of the same side hand. You're going to take the opposite hand to leg and try to build up that abdominal tension there. So this is a really fun one. And we're going to do a good 15 to 20 seconds each side at least. You can also work your way up to 30 seconds. If you want to do both, toes up, everybody toes up, cross your hands, get to both knees at the same time and start to build contraction across your abdomen. Keep it here or lift your chin, back of the neck, toes active, breathing into the back body. Building that contraction. And another 5 seconds or so. See if you can keep this yogic ideal of the soft expression on the face. And then lower down. The head lift part, by the way, is optional if you need to do something different. We're going to scoop our hands now to the front of the knees and start to push the legs forward. And what you will probably feel now as we do this forward push of the legs is the muscles of the low back start to kick in and maybe some of the glutes. So push the shins into the hands and start to build that resistance. Option to lift the head here, although that's going to get a little bit more of your front body. You'll still feel your back body kicking in quite a bit. And if you can't get to the front of your shins, of course, you can have your hands behind your thighs. So all is good, no matter where your hands land. Good, and relax. Shake it out again. We're going back to the single arm, single leg, or same side arm, same side leg. So either here, activating your foot, building up the resistance with or without the head, or both legs. Full breath in. Exhale, rolling, pin it up. The ideal is to hold this for 30 seconds and to feel it across your front body. I'm just guesstimating on the time count. So let's hold it for one more round of breath. And slowly relax. Shake it out a little bit. Either opposite hand to opposite leg. So you're going to have to kind of divvy up the 50-50% here. Or if you had one hand to one leg the whole time, you can do one hand to the other leg the whole time. So now we're going to cross the arms. Make sure or see if you can switch which arm is on top. And then bring it to your thighs and curl it up. This is like an Utkatasana variation, right? Except on our back, really activating the core. So it's like that chair pose in yoga, except with so much more core than you would typically get. Back of the neck long, toes curled up and active. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax down. So we're on to the pushing, the pulling action. So we did the pushing with the front body, and now we're going to get some of the pulling muscles. You can do one leg, just like we did with the pushing action, or you can go back to both, right? So if you're just doing one, you're going to use both arms over that one leg. So go ahead and push. Feel your back body activate a little bit. You can even push your head down into the floor if you're not feeling you're not feeling your back body very much. And hold it for another 10 seconds. Beautiful. Okay. So go ahead and stabilize. So we did our pushing, we did our pulling, and now we're going to use all that muscular action just to stabilize here. And hands to your abdomen, hold it in, flex one foot, draw that leg up, and then draw the other leg up. So knees bent, toes are curled up. Feel how some of the same muscles that were when we were pushing into our legs are active now. So this is a really, really nice sequence to build sustainable core strength across your abdomen. And if this is too easy for you, you can always do this from the top down. So find the 90-90 position, that chair pose on your back, and then tap one heel down and then tap the other. And again, we're looking to build sustainable core strength. And so what this looks like is smaller muscles for longer duration. We're fatiguing out the fast twitch muscles, turning on or activating the slower twitch muscles, getting them on our sides. And so After a bunch of these, give yourself a little bit of a rest, set your feet down, swish your knees side to side. And then we're going to do something very similar. You can go back to this marching from the floor up or from the 90 degrees down, or you can add one more layer to it. So instead of just tapping the leg down, we're going to keep that stability at the core and straighten one leg out. So if your leg gets to here where mine is low to the floor and you feel your low back popping up, then you're just going to keep your leg higher, right? 45 degrees or even maybe just 30 degrees off vertical. So root down with your spine. Let that be what governs this movement, and lengthen and lengthen. And remember, you can always go back to the first march, the second march. You've got lots of options. Pick one that's just a little bit below what you can handle, since we're going to be doing it for another 20 seconds or so. And 3, 2, 1. I got to end on the side opposite where I began. Come back in, settle your feet down, and then just find a neutral bridge. So I'm actually going to move this blanket out from underneath my head. So neutral bridge, glutes kick in, core kicked in. We're not trying to press the belly up towards the sky. Take a breath here and lower down. Good. So now we're going to roll to our sides, and we're going to play with some stabilizing from the side of the core. So more sustainable core stabilizing. Take both of your knees, keep them bent for this first round, stay on your forearm, and then just rise to this variation of side plank. If you want to be in a full length one, you can do that as well. So shift forward, lift your top leg, and just hold here. So we're going to be building ribs towards the sky a little bit. Feel your side hip kick in, and try to stay neutral as you do this. Remember when I taught you the chin tuck, ears back, chin down a little bit. Perfect. Lower, lower, and we'll take it to the other side. Start with your knees bent, unless you know you want to go into the full length variation of side plank. Really find a neutral spine and option to lift your top leg. Drive down through the elbow or the hand that's on the floor. Find your Tadasana, your mountain pose inside of this. And then lower and switch. So this next one, I'm going to show you a fun option with the block, okay? Because we're going to be lifting through the bottom leg, and all these variations of side plank, they can be hard for your body to jump into. So your bottom leg is going to go forward. I don't know why I switched sides again. And your top leg, if you want a somewhat more accessible version, it's still a good challenge. Your top leg's going to rest on the block, right? You have to adjust it so it doesn't fall over. And press down with your top shin, lift up with your bottom leg. Okay, so if you can do that with your top leg straight without feeling strain, go for that as well. We're going to hold it. Neutral spine, little chin tuck, little glute action. Lower, lower, and let's switch sides. So somewhat more accessible, but still really hard. You've got your shin resting on the block, right? Squeeze to help lift you up, and then lift that bottom leg. Adjust, make it more challenging if you'd like. Feel your glutes press forward, spine stay neutral, chin down. And then lower and lower. And let's just go into a forearm a forearm plank. So start on your knees and then lower all the way to your belly. Squeeze your shoulders. See if you can de-weight your elbows a little bit. Elbows come down, hips lift up. You can stay on your knees for this forearm plank for a moment if you'd like. Connect to breath and lower. Arms up, squeeze and activate muscles of the back body. Lower and rise. And we're going to actually rise through the knees and start to seesaw just a little bit forward and back. Again, find your Tadasana here. So no butts to the sky, no sagging. Find that neutral from the crown of the head to your heels, chin towards the chest. Last seesaw, lower, lower, lift your legs and your arms, activating muscles in the back of your body. Good. Rise up to hands and knees. And let's go ahead. I'm going to adjust my mat here. Let's go ahead and just lift one leg behind. You're going to tap the toes down to the floor, lift, tap, and lift. If your wrists prefer not to have so much direct weight on them so quickly, walk them out a little, turn your fingers out a little. That should help. Find your Tadasana here through your spine. And if you'd like, you can take your opposite hand and assist by stabilizing through the trunk. Hand can give you a little bit of feedback. Let's go ahead and lower and switch sides. Lift and lower the leg. So this is obviously quite a bit of glute work, but when you really try to maintain a neutral Tadasana mountain spine, you're getting so much more. Option to have the opposite hand to your belly or to your low back just to give you feedback. And I do recommend finding that chin tuck here. Last one. And then go ahead and lower. Walk yourself back until you're in this kind of long child's position. It's not really child's position. But either way, you're going to shift forward to a knee down plank. Separate your knees a little. Use your blanket as needed. Squeeze your bum and lean to one side, tapping opposite shoulder. So what you're going to figure out is that you almost always have to move and rotate your torso a little bit to go side to side. And that's okay. But you do want to try to minimize not the side to side movement, but the twisting movement. Okay? So if that feels reasonable to you, then add your knees up. Feet can be as wide apart as you'd like. Push the ground away. Keep your chin tucked. Tadasana. Last one, each side. Go ahead and lower and release. Sweep your legs out in front of you. And we're going to do a couple of variations of bridge, right? So we've talked about it a little bit earlier, but activating your feet, walking your feet in until you feel your glutes kick in, and then making sure that as you lift up, you don't go so high that these muscles really kick in the back. Nothing wrong with activating those muscles, but for now, we're still working front body. So ribs stay low, front hip points stay up. You should feel your glutes here. Take a couple of deep breaths, cross your arms over your chest, and then lower down. Wiggle your feet just a little closer together till they feel like maybe almost touching. You're going to rise to the tiptoes of one foot, same bridge, but more weight in one leg than the other. If that's easy, Then you're going to cross the ankle over the knee, just kind of park it there. Lift and lower. Keep everything neutral. If that is easy, then you're going to lift the leg and you're going to put your hands on this knee. Start to build some resistance between the knee and the hands so that you're getting your torso activated here. And go up and down. Setu Bandhasana. Whew, lots of fire. Let's go ahead and draw the knees in, rock a little side to side. Before we do the other side, grab your block, place it between your thighs. And you could literally put anything there. It could be a throw pillow, whatever you got. Arms by the ears or behind the head. Bring the legs to about 90 degrees. Toes are again curled up. Squeeze to the block. And I'm going to recommend separating your feet as much as you can. So making it like a fishtail. Squeeze in. Go ahead and lean over 45 degrees to make sure your elbows aren't helping you. Point them towards the sky. Your arms aren't helping you. And then over to the other side. Toes are active. Elbows are up. Over to the first side. Add a little pulse. Forward and up. Staying in this plane off to the side. And then over to the other side. For those of you who want to practice side crow, who want to practice some deep yoga twists, this is really essential, these two movements. Come back through to center, lower. We'll set the block off to the side. And go ahead and bring your feet together again. Come onto the tiptoes of the other foot. And arms across your chest so you know your arms aren't working. Rise up into bridge. By the way, there is zero shame staying here because the most important thing, I think, from our yoga practice is that we really recognize the truth, the satya of whatever moment. And if your truth is that this is challenging for you, or this is the energy level you have today, that's okay. It's better to honor that than to push through it, both from like a hormonal level, a metabolism level. I mean, I'm talking all the sciencey physical body stuff, but even from a psycho-emotional level, I'm sure as well. And also from the level of just how your body accommodates to be able to do more. So now that you've figured out whether tiptoes or ankle over knee are good for you, if those are okay, you can even lift one leg, push it into your hands, and start to build. So remember, you're not trying to be in a constant state of elevated cortisol, pushing, pushing, pushing. You're not trying to never give yourself the rest time. And two, if you did give yourself quite a bit of rest time, suddenly go back to what you were capable of doing months ago. So last one or two, or even weeks ago, draw your knees to your chest. Separate the knees a little, gentle, gentle cross between Apanasana and Happy Baby. Grab your block. Place the block between your feet this time. Legs look like a diamond. And again, if you don't have a block, you can just sort of press your feet into one another. Draw some big circles here. Point your elbows to the sky so you know your arms aren't doing the work for you. And then move in the other direction. Clockwise versus counterclockwise. Feeling your pelvis almost fully lift up off the floor. And then come back through to center. If you have a cork block or a wooden block, those things are dangerous over the head. Let's go ahead and come back onto hands and knees. So there's this concept of tensional tolerance, right? So the tension is what your muscles can hold, especially on a sustained level. We're talking about sustainable core. And that tension can be trialed in a lot of different ways, but the biggest ones are those opposite arm and leg movements. So hands a little in front of your shoulders, fingers turned out, toes curled under. Let's just lift the knees 1 or 2 inches. Create a little bit of a chin tuck. I'm just getting my hair out the way. And breathe. So this is our bear crawl hold. You can take a little pulse here if you'd like. And one more breath, lower down. And you can feel the tensional tolerance that's required of that across your front body. So now you're going to keep your left hand and your right knee down. You're going to keep all of your elbows straight. And I want you to lift your right hand just kind of straight up off the floor like that, the elbow straight, and also lift your left knee. So you can literally do this just in place, up and down, or you can kind of slide it forward and back and crawl in place super slowly with control, feeling the tensional tolerance or torsion or whatever it is between your left arm and your right leg. So that sling across the front body. This doesn't feel a lot like conventional core work, but it absolutely is. I would call it coordinated core work. And last one. Whew. Separate your knees a little bit, rock back. For those of you who are feeling really fiery right now, you're welcome to take a vinyasa. If you'd like the more relaxed approach, choose your own adventure, take a child's pose. And after a breath or two, shift it forward. Make your way back to the crawling position. You're going to keep your right hand and your left knee on the floor now. And you're going to keep your elbows straight. Lift your left hand, right knee. You can just lift and lower in space here, in place. Or you can shift it forward and back with control. Pay attention to whether one side has better control than the other. I think those are really important things to notice. Last one or two. And then take your vinyasa, take your child's pose, or what I'm going to call the middle ground, whether it is or isn't, probably an individual, the bear crawl position. Chin down, back of the neck long, knees just a couple of inches. Beautiful. One more breath here. And then go ahead and lower down. Come on to your forearms and shift a little side to side. You're going to bring your toes to touch, your hands to touch. Separate your knees. Separate your elbows. Okay. And then shift your weight into your right forearm. Left elbow is going to come up a little bit, and then right elbow is going to come up a little bit. Left elbow, right elbow. And then we're going to add on to this. So left leg, right leg. This is like a hybrid between a bird dog and a frog pose, the yoga action of frog pose Mandukasana. So your knee goes out a little bit to the side as the leg's lifting up. And now we're going to lift opposite arm and leg just 5 times each side. Feel that tension created across your core from the arm and leg that are still on the ground. Relax, and other side. And lower. And then we're going to shift it forward right back into the knee down, elbow plank, forearm plank. Or feel free to do the knees up version. Practicing that tolerance, building up that tolerance. 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and settle down. Relax totally. Rest one cheek to the floor if you'd like. Bend your knees and swish your feet side to side. Come back to neutral. Take your other cheek to the ground. Bend your knees and swish your feet side to side. And then come to neutral and lift your head. So just the very act of lifting your head starts to engage some of the muscles at the back of the core. So all of the muscles along the spine that help us to stabilize. And you can stay here. Think about it like you're lifting your head, but you're trying not to lift your chin. Hopefully that makes sense. So back the neck long, arms float up off the floor, activating some upper back muscles. Now, if you're here, you can reach one arm forward and back, and then the other arm forward and back. And you can also add opposite leg so that you're getting this tension, lines of tension diagonally across your back. Arms and legs move reciprocally, whether we're crawling, whether we are walking. A lot of the locomotion movements that humans do. Good. Last one, each side. Lower, and again, rest and just shake it out a bit. We're going to roll right back to the side. So, preparing again for your side plank. Find your neutral, ribs in, chin down. Press through the bottom leg, or you could have the bottom foot active on the floor, or you could have the bottom knee bent and lift up from there. So whichever one feels better to you, drive down through your forearm, lift your hips. And let's just take a plain side plank this time. Lower, bend both of your knees and slide your bottom leg forward. Option to use your block under this top leg. Press down through your shin, float up through your hips, and you can always keep the bottom leg on the floor as needed. You're still getting some good tension created across the trunk, across your torso, or drive it down and lift up. Full hold, full breath, lower and lower, and switch sides. Regular plain old side plank, or you can eat with your legs straight or knees bent. So find a neutrality, that Tadasana that I've mentioned so many times in class. But you want to feel your glutes active. You want to feel your ribs stay tucked in. Press, lift, and hold. Side plank is so good for our shoulders, our hips, the core, low back, even the neck, kind of keeping your neck neutral in this chin tucked way. Really, really helpful. Lower down, you're going to bend your bottom leg in front of you. Top leg can be straight or resting on your block. Bottom leg is going to help you to lift up unless you don't want it to. If you want the harder version, as you lift up, your lower leg also lifts. So press. Once you're up, lift your leg. And we're aiming for 10 to 15 seconds. Chin tucks, pelvis forward. Breath steady. You can always go longer if you wish. Neutral spine. Slowly lower and release. Come into a seated position where both legs are off to one side. And if this is uncomfortable for your knees or anything like that, you can always just set yourself up on a block. So what we're doing here is we're doing a bit of leaning outside of our base of support. My base of support right now is my shins and basically one of my sitting bones. And so as I lean a little bit, all of these trunk muscles have to help me. All of this lumbopelvic stabilization stuff has to help me to come out of the base of support and right back into it. And this is, in a simplified way, kind of what everything is in movement, is relieving that base of support and coming right back in. And then other direction. You can stretch your arms out for added challenge. Come back to neutral and switch sides. So option to be up on your block or sitting on the floor. Just sort of recognize your base of support and how it might change from one side to the next. So I feel one sitting bone and I feel my shins to the ground. And just going to focus on leaning. That's it. Keeping it really, really simple. Leaning out of the base of support, pouring the weight back in. Lean into the leg side of things. Add your arms for a little added challenge. I feel like a teapot right now. And then come back onto hands and knees. This will be like the last big thing that we do together. So from here, reach one leg back, opposite arm forward, and then just tap and lift, tap and lift, back of the neck long. Lower, walk your feet back nice and wide from one another, edges of your yoga mat. Tap opposite shoulder, chin down. Find neutral, walk your feet together, lift one leg, lift the other. Lift your first leg, 10 seconds. And lift your other leg. and lower. Come down to your knees. So last side. From here, left arm, right leg. That's at least the opposite of the ones I did. Press the arm that's still touching the floor down. Keep your chin tucked. Last one. And lower. Cross at your ankles. Rock back to a child's pose. And just allow for a couple of breaths into your back body. Stay connected to breath, to the kidney area. And then begin to stack. If your knees can tolerate this, great. If you want to put the block underneath your hips, you can do that as well. Rising up vertebra by vertebra. Roll your shoulders a little bit once you're up. And we'll close simply. Grab your blanket if you'd like. Sweep the arms up and take a twist to one side. Maintain your torso in that twist, but let your arms cross your chest. So the arms aren't helping you to stay in the twist. Turn your chin all the way into the twist. And then keep the twist, but turn your chin all the way in the other direction. Little chin tuck as you go. Unravel to neutral. Shake it out. Become like a little seaweed, right, in the water. Switch the legs. Arms up. Big twist. Sustain that twist by the muscles of your torso. And then look as deeply as you can in the direction of the twist. Chin stays tucked, back of the neck long. And then look as far as you can opposite the direction of the twist. Full breath. Coming to neutral. Seaweed body. We've twisted, we've cored, we've mounted, we've done almost everything except standing poses, but we're gonna let those go for this practice today. And go ahead and adjust yourself so that you're either really comfortable and seated or make your way down onto your back for Shavasana. Either way, the blanket is handy, right? So it can either go under your knees or under your thighs if you're on your back, or under your hips if you're seated. Let the pelvis have just a little bit of a tilt to it, a tiny little forward tilt to it. Let your shoulders roll back softly, landing on your back body. Allow your chin to drop down. Back of the neck to lengthen, and you can do this on your back or in seated. Tongue to the roof of the mouth. Jaw relaxed. Easy breath. If your mind wanders, rein it back into this present moment again and again, as many times as you need. Wherever you are, a little scan of your body. Aware of the support of gravity and the joys of slowing down, staying present. Slowly begin to wiggle your fingers and maybe your toes, inviting breath to deepen all the way into your hands and your feet. Circle the wrists, circle the ankles if you're in Shavasana. And over the next 3 to 4 breaths, draw your knees to your chest. Roll to one side and very gently rise up to sitting, letting the head be the last thing to lift. We'll bring the palms together over the heart. Just be with breath for a few rounds. As you're ready, take a little bow down and let this bowing be in the spirit of bowing to your intimate connection to everything else in the universe, that sense of oneness, as well as to all parts of yourself, your full, complete wholeness, everything. Full breath in. When you're ready, open your eyes, and thank you so much for being here to practice with me.